Are you getting close to retirement and telling yourself, maybe one more year? One more year can be a smart plan.
But it can also be a trap. Every year you wait adds to your bank account.
But it can also cost you health, energy, mobility, confidence, and time you won't get back.
Today we want to talk about how to tell when waiting is wise and how to know when one more year is the thing keeping you stuck.
I'm Judy.
And I'm Kevin. Welcome back to Voyage Gina Marie, where we share our lives as full-time travelers and the connections we make along the way. My dad was 60 and he was planning to retire, so he was taking his vacation weeks that he had left over. During that time period, he had a heart attack and ended up in the hospital. We thought, oh, this is serious, but he managed to push through, he got out of the hospital, and then a month later, he was dead. So I was 21, he was 60, and it was a good lesson for me that we can't always be sure how many years we have.
Same for my mother. She was only 56, but she'd been sick with cancer for several years. She had emphysema, and she had just retired the year before. And unexpectedly, we thought we were going to have to put her on hospice, but instead she passed away. It wasn't at all what we expected for her or what she expected for her life. But I think it taught both of us to realize that the future is not guaranteed to any of us.
And that goes back to the one more year proposition. One more year isn't even guaranteed. We didn't know when our parents were going to die. We didn't think it was going to happen when it did. And it's set in our hearts that we need to think about the future. We need to not plan to do everything later when we get time for it.
I think one thing that people expect when they retire is that they still will have a bunch of healthy years ahead of them, when they'll have good mobility, where they'll have great cognitive function, where the idea of travel planning and getting around is going to be easy for them. And it isn't always that way. And that's where the one more year trap starts. One more year can become a plan, but it can also become a pattern. One more year to just let the market settle. Or this is one more year where you get to save. Or I need to figure out health insurance, so let me just work one more year while I sort that out. There can be a lot of reasons that you wait one more year, but it sometimes is just a means to prevent you from dealing with the things that you're unsure about.
And none of these are unreasonable. Some of them are real. Sometimes you need to have some more savings before you can do something else. Sometimes you do need to have time before you can sell your house. There's very good reasons why you should wait.
Work can also be a crutch. It's predictable. It feels good to have that steady income coming in. It's something that you can count on. And we're not anti-work at all. We have had really good work ethics our entire life. But at the same time, we had to step back and think about, are we giving our best years of good health to our jobs or our careers instead of to the lives we want to live?
I know that when I was working at Apple, I thought, well, I'll wait till my 10-year period because 10 years is a good round number. And I thought, well, that's 18 months away. Why am I picking an arbitrary number like that just because it's round? It was a fake thought in my head. It was imposing a restriction on me. Don't leave before 10 years.
When your entire identity is tied up in your career or your job, it can be really intimidating to think about what is the next phase of your life. But we started to do that, and we realized that we wanted to travel in our retirement.
And then we thought about, what if one of us in that year, 18-month period suddenly was unable to travel, maybe for health reasons, or a family member, or anything else that happens in our lives? What would we do?
Our one more year was primarily about whether or not we had saved enough money. I think we both thought that perhaps we didn't and we needed to continue working. But we realized that we needed to step back a little bit.
Yeah, the goal wasn't how much more could we save, but what could we adjust to make this feasible sooner?
With a little bit of unconventional thinking, we realized that we could change the shape of our expenses and the way we were living our lifestyle in order to accommodate the money that we had. It meant that we could downsize a bit or lower our cost of living or adjust our dreams so that they could live within the amount of money we had saved.
One of the things that helped us rethink our lifestyle was being completely clear about what we were spending today. Not guessing, actually tracking it. And that's why we built Voyage Vault. It's a personal finance app for people who love to travel. And it's useful long before you ever leave home because knowing how much you spend is the first step in planning your future. Voyage Vault is available now in the Apple App Store and runs on your iPhone, iPad, or Mac. To try it for free, scan the QR code on the screen or click the link below.
So maybe the better question is, can you actually make every risk disappear?
Maybe the better question is, what can I do to make the things that I want to happen sooner?
Because there's a difference between waiting for one specific condition to resolve that really you don't want to work around and what-ifing yourself to death. We get it. Even when you look at all the numbers and everything else, it's very common to still not feel safe enough to pull the trigger on retiring.
It's a big life change, and you're certainly allowed to think it through clearly. So let's talk about the signs that are showing that one more year is becoming a trap. First of all, you're planning your numbers out, and that final number keeps adjusting or moving. Like, it would be better if it was this amount, and then you adjust it a little bit more. And yeah, but if I spend another 6 months here, I can get it to this amount. That creep is a sign that one more year is happening.
I know that can feel really tricky when you know that there is a bonus around the corner, or when you're waiting for stock options to be released so that you can have a little bit more than you have today. And sometimes it might feel like a lot more, but you are trading time for it.
And there's nothing wrong with adjusting your plan if it's a real adjustment and you need to change things. But be aware that adjusting it constantly means you're pushing it off forever.
The second sign is that the reasons to delay keep changing. One concern gets solved and then another one appears. So maybe you're waiting for Social Security or until you're eligible for Medicare. Maybe you're afraid that you'll be bored and you're waiting until you have hobbies. Perhaps you're scared because retirement's unfamiliar. If you've worked all your life, it can be very uncomfortable because you don't know what to expect from it. And sometimes change in general is hard, and that can be a real fear of its own.
The third sign is that your plan measures money more than it does the usable years. It's really easy to estimate expenses. It's easy to run the numbers. It's easy to plan out what you're going to save and how you're going to do all this over the years. But what you can't measure is how many years you'll have that will be healthy and you'll be able to do the things that you want to actually do.
You can play with spreadsheets all day long, but there is no spreadsheet that's going to tell you how energetic you're going to be at a certain age, when you're no longer going to have the balance you want to do some of the hikes or to have the experiences that you want to have.
That's one of the biggest reasons we retired when we were 58 and 60, because we wanted to protect our future. We wanted to know that we're healthy now. We have at least some time to enjoy the retirement of travel that we had planned.
We didn't know how long it would last, but we knew that at the moment we were healthy enough. So we didn't want to wait until we hit a magic number, either for age or for the amount of money that we had saved.
We want to be clear. Sometimes waiting is the smart decision. Maybe you have debt that needs attention. Maybe your spouse isn't ready to retire, not ready for a change in your lifestyle. Maybe you have someone that you're a caregiver for, and you need to be there for that person. These are all very valid reasons.
And if you have really unstable finances, waiting may be the most responsible thing you can do. We know that retiring early is not for everyone.
But we also know that sometimes the money that people tell you need isn't an absolute number. There are ways to make that work for you at a lower amount.
I think sometimes it requires a good bit of self-reflection. And maybe the truth is that now isn't the right time for you. But if you looked at what are the circumstances and you have a plan right now, think long and hard about yourself. And if those needs were met, would you actually retire or would you be finding other excuses? Because if you think that you would be finding other excuses, you might need to have a different plan or really look at the reasons that you're procrastinating. Because postponement is different than planning. Regardless of what your genetics are or how fit you are today, we hear over and over again about family and friends and acquaintances that people know that just died too young, or that something happened and the lives that they had planned for themselves were completely derailed. We knew we didn't want that to happen to us.
We looked at our picture and said, what do we love to do? Well, we love to travel. How could we afford to travel? Well, if we don't have a home base, we'll save some money there. If we spend less money while we're traveling because we're staying in a place longer, we can save money there. We looked at the real numbers and said, if we do it now, we get to enjoy the thing we really love to do, and we don't have to worry about, well, maybe next year we won't be able to do that.
Because sometimes it just takes one accidental slip. You're looking at your phone and you fall off a curb. And
I did that.
Who knows what kind of situation is going to ruin your mobility. And for us, we knew that being able to get around was one of the most important things to us.
And sometimes the shift doesn't have to be dramatic. Maybe you can retire a year or two earlier than you had planned. You look at the number, you say, well, maybe I can have a little bit more time if I shift just these numbers a tad. So it doesn't have to be that you become fearless. It doesn't have to be that you're ignoring all the signs and all the planning that you have. But it does mean that you're learning that money isn't the only cost. That's a shift that really helped us rethink what we were doing for our future.
The point of this video is to just ensure that you are thinking about more than money when you are factoring in when you should actually retire.
And waiting may be the right choice, but it's certainly not a free choice.
We'd love to know, if you are in the one more year mode, what is the thing that's holding you back from retiring early? If you're wondering how we retired early without being rich, we have a video here that explains all of the choices that factored into our decision. Thank you so much for watching. The best compliment you can give to us is to recommend our videos to your friends and family.
And remember to
wander more,
worry less,
and bring a passport.
Until next time.
Until next time.